a substitute teacher in middle school. Now, you just got back from Peru.
Right. Yep.
Where I think, I'm sure the children, I'm going to guess at this, perhaps more respectful towards adults.
Oh yeah, the ones I've been around. So,
Yeah.
but there's you've got extreme poverty, and then you've got 1%. So
Is that much? The middle class is tiny?
Yeah, there's not much of a middle class.
That's unbelievable.
Yep.
I mean, we kind of expected that, but to that extreme?
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
So, you have a business down there, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the behavior of the kids, even the poor kids, is it, well?
I don't know. When I'm there, we're at the distillery where we go to restaurants.
I'm not implying you're
office.
a pedophile or anything. I'm not implying anything.
I'm not around many
But
kids
maybe
there.
you're the people that work there. They have children. They
Yeah.
get invited.
Yeah, but the kids I've been around are teenagers. They're pretty well behaved. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if there's a contrast with, the liberties and freedoms we have here. Maybe sometimes
Oh, I'm sure there is.
that's an issue.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
But
So, Davio,
Well, I think here we have a problem of excess luxury with children where the kids get neglected, not because the parents don't have time, but the parents are wrapped up in their devices, whatever they're doing, and the kids get raised by these devices. I'm seeing that more and more. And that's the disrespect comes because they have serious addictions to those devices.
no doubt.
And so normal human interaction,
Remember,
like-
we've talked
it's like-
about addictions before, right?
it's like taking a junkie away from their hit.
the
And these poor countries, the kids don't have an iPhone.
not as much. The social media has the same circuit
Yeah.
in terms of that dopamine high and endorphins, right?
Yeah, there was the Kumbans.
Nucleus accumbens.
Yeah, that's the one.
One day, I'll tattoo it on, like him. Maybe you can get a Peruvian to do the tattoo there. Like him.
Was that recent on your last trip?
Yes.
Oh, that's really cool.
Not this last trip, but back in September.
So he left in October, in September, and just came back because of the tattoo. Takes a long time.
How did you end up involved in a Peruvian? That's got to be.
So a good friend of mine lived here 25 years ago in Dallas. We were in our 20s, running around, same circles. And
Not in church.
no, not in church, not in church.
Strip clubs.
But we became really good friends.
And others.
And I knew at the time that his grandfather had a business in Peru and his dad had a business in Peru. I didn't know to what extent. And he went on to get a engineering degree at Tulane and other things, but he became a contractor. And his dad paid him to go to Peru, go to Lima, and they built this industrial complex that we're housed in. And this industrial complex was a spec build. So they built 6 warehouses. The model was they would have a business center in the middle.
From Colombia.
Where they would, Venezuela.
No.
Where they would provide, so if you moved in there and you leased one of the buildings, they would provide HR, payroll, small legal services.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they would also provide logistics from the port and back. And so,
And this is to get multinationals to come to Peru.
this was just an investment for them. They thought, hey, the Peru, it's very hard to it's just over here there's a lot more business opportunities. So this is just something they came up with, but they
So
built
this is
that.
your friend Mike.
Yeah, Mike
and his dad,
and his partners,
who was
Fernando,
an MIT
Carlo.
graduate. So we're talking incredibly smart people.
Right.
So not
Right.
haphazard,
Yeah,
fly
for
by
sure.
night. Okay,
Yeah.
so they went, created this.
So
Industrial
Mike
park.
goes over there, builds the industrial complex, and while he's over there, he starts dabbling in making his own whiskey because there's no whiskey there. They drink pisco. Pisco is a
Did you say Pisco?
pisco.
Pisco.
Yeah, pisco. So
You already knew what that was.
Of course.
Yeah, right.
The tequila of Peru.
Okay.
For
it's
Our market.
a liquor.
It's not-
distilled from grapes.
It's not tequila. It's
a
Pisco.
clear-
No.
Yeah, pisco.
it's not tequila, it's pisco.
But anyway, he got pretty good at making whiskey. So he was over there. I'm going to fast forward 6 years. So 6 years, he's just dabbling, deciding, trying to figure out, hey, man, this stuff's, actually pretty good. I'm thinking about maybe going into some type of production with it. Started sending out to friends like me. We're telling them, oh, it tastes like shit. Don't do it. He just stayed at it. And he started another smaller distillery 12 years ago. So he dabbled with that for 6 years before he really figured out that he had something that would be worth marketing.
He got a good recipe.
He had a good recipe, yeah. And so what
was his dad involved in all this as a consultant or
his
facilitating
dad was,
permits?
Yeah, his dad, yeah, because
well connected, right?
In Peru, like over here, you go down to the city, you apply for a permit.
Right.
Over there,
and they make you wait 6 months.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, in Peru, you've got to know somebody, and then you've
leverage.
got to pay people off. Oh yeah,
you gotta have some.
No,
leverage.
You and I couldn't go over there and start a business. It wouldn't happen.
But Mike's dad.
Mike's dad Mike's granddad graduated from MIT in like 1950 and went to work for a Sarco, an American mining company. He became the CEO, and so because he went to work there right out of school, he had a lot of stock options. While they were mining for copper, they hit natural gas.
Wow!
So his stock just went
right.
That's
why you always take options.
Yeah. So his dad was born there just because his mother happened to be there when her grandmother was there when he was delivered.
But the mother is American?
The mother is a Mexican from Mexico City, citizen. But they don't have natural born citizenship in Peru. So his dad was never a citizen. His dad was raised, they're from Florida, but he was back and forth, went to private school in Peru. When he was in Florida, he went to school there, graduated, went to school, went to college somewhere in Italy, became a banker. But he ended up back in Peru, managing money for all his friends. But anyway, that's how Mike, when Mike's dad decided to retire, Mike went ahead and got his citizenship so that a lot of his dad's interests could be transferred because his dad was never a citizen over there. You can't own anything if you're not a citizen. So everything he was involved in was a handshake deal. Wow. His dad's, but with some really good friends. So,
so he did well.
I have a separate story about a friend of mine that I grew up with, Prince of the City type in Greece, whose dad was a big time tycoon, all handshake deals. And when the dad died, nobody knew or any of it. It was all
gone.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't on
so he's
assets,
lucky
guess,
that.
no?
Yeah, but Mike made a name for himself. Oh yeah, no. Oh right. I see what
I'm
you're
saying.
Oh yeah,
the fact that he went and then made it all official was
right.
Yeah.
So they didn't
before
get stolen or taken
whatever, or just people,
Right.
So once Mike had a product, got the permits with his dad's leverage.
Well, so here's. Let me back up. They own that industrial park,
right,
that Mike built,
right.
Well, the bank noticed that they filled that thing up. I mean, as soon as they built it, they filled it up.
So the bank
comes in like, hey, we want to buy this. I said, no, it's not for sale. And they said, well, how much do you make in a month? And they told me, I said, what if we give you 5 years up front, and then we give you, I don't know what the disclosed price was, but it was a really nice price. And they said, okay, we'll sell that, but we want to keep this building for our distillery. And we want lifetime membership to the HR, payroll, logistics. That's
so
what
Mike already had the idea of doing the distillery. So he was able to carve that out.
Right. Yeah.
And the bank was okay with it. The bank was...
They didn't know what we were going to do with it.
Right,
exactly. We just said, we want to keep this this building.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, that's when Mike approached me, Walter, Jay, two other shareholders that are in Miami. So we all came up with about $3 million to start this. Mike went to Germany, bought a bunch of the equipment, had it. I mean, like I said, he's got an engineering degree from Tulane. He's very mechanical, obviously. So he pretty much
was able to scale the recipe.
Josh, didn't you have to go to Ireland? No, where did you get your barrels? Was it in Kentucky?
No, so the barrels are from Kentucky, Kelvin's Cooperage.
To age whiskey.
Right. Yep.
But there weren't enough,
But Kelvin's Cooperage is originally from Scotland.
Right.
You know, and then they moved to Kentucky to make the barrels there for all the bourbon distillers in Kentucky.
And you guys brought them to Peru.
Yeah, so we use our niche is we use Peruvian purple corn that grows in the Andes Mountains. It grows above 10,000 feet in elevation. So
the
nobody
Incas
else is
created
doing
that?
Oh, the Incas have been it's been
made
a
hybrid
staple.
corn, right?
It's been a staple.
And
food.
this is not like American popcorn corn
No.
where it's just high.
No, it's not.
Yes,
It's not
Right.
Redenbacher.
This is like an original, like indigenous.
right.
Yeah, it's
for sure.
probably thousands of years old.
Oh yeah, it's 5,000 years
In
old.
Mexico,
at least.
the corn that the Aztecs used took 6,000 years of breeding to get it to
Wow.
that sweet corn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I imagine it was similar.
Yeah, it
with the
is.
Inca.
Yeah, so the national drink in Peru is called chicha morada.
I thought it was Coca-Cola.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Chicha morada. And Fred, you could probably say that
chicha
with
morada. Chicha morada. You know what it means? Purple breast.
Purple. No, it doesn't.
Sounds good though. They were pink when I
drink.
saw them.
But anyway, it's their national drink is called chicha morada. It is a non-alcoholic sweet drink that's made from the corn, the purple corn juice. Yeah. So
Is it good?
yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it's really
Does
good.
it taste good with whiskey?
I haven't tried that. Haven't tried it with whiskey, but it's pretty good.
So he wanted to use the same.
Yeah, he wanted to use
Purple
that
corn.
corn. No, so here's the thing: nobody makes whiskey in South America. You know, we're the
Right,
first.
Right.
And you know, right now,
Do you guys lean into that? Are you trying to sell to all of?
right now, so we're in our 12th year from the time Mike started, you know, research development, toying around with it. We're 6 years into where we actually built the distillery and went
Live.
Yeah.
But it has to age,
Yeah,
right?
it has to age.
How many years or what's the process?
We are, like I said, our oldest whiskey 6 years, you know, but we just won with our single barrel. We won the New York Spirits Competition last year, which is a huge show.
Yeah.
Huge. And thousands of entries are sent in.
You got potato chips in your pantry that are 7 years. Right?
Yeah.
That's funny. You should mention that.
So thousands of entries are sent in. They bring in sommeliers from all over the world, whiskey sommeliers. They blind taste test this stuff. They narrow it down to 13.
There's no way to bribe them or anything.
No. Not that we know of.
The look on your face
He
tells me all I
So how many entries in this New York contest, right?
Thousands. I don't know, several thousands. Yeah.
So blind
taste test.
testers.
Taste testers.
Taste testers. It's almost a tongue twister.
Sommeliers. Yep.
Who are experts in whiskey.
Experts in whiskey. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they all come
From
from one town in
all over
Ireland.
the world. Japan,
I thought they were Irish.
Scotland, the U.S.
And y'all won.
Here's what they do. They narrow this down to 13 drams of whiskey. Then they blind taste those, and they pick a grand champion. We won the whole thing.
Wow.
Grand
The
champion.
grand champion.
So we won best in show,
This
best
was
in class.
2020, 2022?
2022. Yep.
Best in show and best in class?
Yep.
So explain about the class. What does that
Well,
mean?
so obviously we're not an American whiskey. You know, we're not Japanese whiskey. There's not really a class for us. So we're just a world whiskey. Now, we're working with the government of Peru to become, we are in the process of
being the national?
trademarking a brand, a new class of whiskey called Andean whiskey.
No, that's
And
a
we've
great,
already
that's a great
pretty
name.
much got that done.
I wonder, how did you guys come up with Andean? I wouldn't have thought of it.
Andean mountains,
Because
Andy's
maybe-
whiskey.
I think
mountains
you're-
where the corn grows.
the guy who
Before he went down there, he didn't know what the Andes were.
the guy who gave no, I know what it is.
They don't have Andes
True.
in West Texas.
and yeah, they don't have in Abilene, no Andes. Right?
The guy who came up with the recipe was named Andy.
Yeah.
There you
Correct.
go. Yeah, no.
Andean whiskey. That's the class.
So here's
the,
our black whiskey here.
But I thought it was purple.
Yeah, well, hey, how does purple whiskey sound to you? Would you drink that?
Well, purple. I mean,
So
if you
well,
like Prince,
we
you
kind of
might.
renamed
Right,
it.
exactly.
We kind of renamed it a little bit. You know,
Yeah,
if you see it, it looks
that's a
black,
good-
but it's really purple.
So it's got the Andes Mountains.
yeah.
Snow,
But it's
Snow
black.
Peak.
It's blacker than most whiskeys.
No, so here's the thing. All liquors clear as water.
Right,
So
right.
once you distill it, it's clear as water.
Right.
The color comes from the barrel,
Right.
from the American oak barrel. So, but back to your previous question. So we won the New York Spirits competition
under
in
the
September.
world whiskeys.
under the World Whiskeys.
But also
But here's
best
the-
in show.
Best in show. Yeah, best in show. And that's across.
That is a big
that's
deal.
across
That's like
everything.
the Westminster.
Did you guys get
show.
approached
Across
at that
everything.
point?
So here's the thing. I get a phone call from a local, what would he be? He's like a whiskey broker. He's like, hey, man, did you see your article in Forbes magazine? Wow. I said, no, I didn't. What are you talking about? He said, yeah, here it is. Forbes magazine wrote this huge article on us, said, hey, dark horse in the race. They had a critic there that was with the judges, and he just went on and on about, hey, I didn't know they made whiskey in Peru. It's South America. This Don Michael black whiskey won best in
Don
class, best in
Michel,
show.
right? It's
Don Michael.
Don Michael.
Don
I
Michael.
thought
So
you
it's
called it
named.
Don
It's after
Michel.
Michael.
Yeah.
'cause
Is that Mike? That's
So
Wait,
it's
wait, what's
all
Don
three.
Michael?
So my partner's name is Michael.
Right.
His dad's name is Michael. His granddad's name is Michael. Don in Latin America
yeah.
is a
Term of
here,
respect.
Here, when we hear it here, we think of
Like,
the
sir.
we think of the Don Corleone. Yeah. But in South America and Latin America, it's a distinguished.
You earn it.
Yeah. So
It's a distinguished
It's a-
title.
Yeah, I've read Carlos Castaneda books. I know all about Don
For
Juan.
an older individual who has earned the respect.
Right. True.
Like Don Quixote.
But he self-named. Yeah. But anyways, go on.
But anyway, so since then, that was back in September, Forbes has now written 3 articles on us, which is our sales have just skyrocketed. So we have actually
They're running out of topics.
we're running out of whiskey.
Yes.
You got to think we have, like I said, we had a few
But you have
million
several
dollars to
different-
start. It's not a lot of money to start a distillery.
But you
But
guys
here's
have
what we
pulled
just
rabbits
did.
out
So
of a hat.
I just got back last week. I was in Peru for 10 weeks for our shareholder meeting. While we were there, Michael had a huge announcement to make. We brought in 3 more shareholders, which they each pitched in $1 million apiece. So we are now expanding the distillery,
Triple the amount of production.
triple the amount of production. We're buying more fermenters, more stills,
Everything,
more everything,
right.
more barrels, more
A
capacity.
lot more German equipment.
So
Yes.
what markets do you have it in?
So obviously South America is our big market. Taiwan.
And by South America, I mean which country?
South America, well, so primarily Peru, Ecuador,
What about Brazil, Argentina?
Brazil, some in
Are
Brazil,
they whiskey
Argentina.
drinkers down there?
Well, you know what?
Or
There's
it's
a
just
lot
starting?
of expats. There's a lot of tourists there. There's a lot
Right.
of expats that live there that buy it. And here's the thing.
It's selling.
It's selling. We've got other products too that we don't have here because it costs $25,000 for us to ship a container here. So if we've got a vodka that we're making $4 or $5 a bottle on, it doesn't make any sense
Right.
to fill that container up.
Right.
But in South America, we have a we have a vodka, we have a gin, we have a cream
That are all made
like
from
a
this.
Bailey's.
From
We
this
all make
corn.
this
From
Yes,
this corn.
It's all made from the corn.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
you guys
so-
are the only ones doing this.
We're the only ones.
That's the essence of leverage.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
finding a point, a niche,
Where you're-
Right.
and then
you're it.
using that as the pivot
And you have
to
a
grow
great
your
quality
empire.
product.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're in multiple countries down there,
Mm-hmm.
and you're marketing it to the Latino market down there.
Yes.
And Portuguese, obviously, and Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have an actor, an actress that's one
Yes.
of the soap operas?
So there we have a whole team. But man,
Two guys.
We're big over there. No, you'd be surprised.
I'm not.
Okay, 3
We've
guys.
had not the president, but one of the presidential candidates who thought he was going to become president and should have
In Brazil or where?
in Peru.
Peru. Oh.
Had they not stole the election, very similar to the way they did here.
Oh, well, okay.
Well,
Let's not go into
hey,
politics.
Okay,
Chandler.
Y'all wanna
we
go
Okay,
have
into
to
that?
but anyway, so
mark
that-
this moment. We might have to do a little beep.
this ex-candidate is very
Okay.
well known.
Very well known, but what I'm saying is this is how proud the country is of having this brand that's internationally known. So the president candidate came with all the TV cameras. They toured the facility. the equivalent of the morning Today Show has come to our distillery twice, set their whole setup. Mike and Diane.
You guys are like an
is on
institution
set
now.
with
Yeah,
them.
it's starting
Oh
to.
yeah.
So
Isn't that amazing how this is just like a small investment for you a few years ago?
Yeah,
Well-
yeah, but you got to know. I mean, Mike and I mean, I
6
call him
years.
my brother. I mean, we are.
Sure,
we're brothers.
Yeah. But think of how many times you've invested in things,
Oh, right.
and you might make your money back, you might
Right.
lose some,
Right.
Right.
and this is taking on a life of its own.
Right.
Beyond
And
the
it's your
financial
Total
reward.
faith in Mike and his ability
Yes.
and his dad's help,
dad.
you know, and the network of people that they know.
And now
that
you
we
brought
know.
in great investors too.
Brought in
probably
great
adding
investors.
another
Right.
more than just money.
So we're now in Taiwan, China, Canada, Poland, Germany, Spain.
Do you guys have
France.
Greek distribution?
You need to go to Greece.
Not
You guys,
yet.
you guys,
tourism.
Not yet.
you guys need to find someone to help you make
Yeah.
inroads into the Greek
Yeah.
market,
Yes.
Hey,
especially because
let
of
me know.
the Instagram ability
The Greek
of
islands.
your product.
Right.
It's impressive.
Well, Greece is the most Instagram per capita country in the world, and
Okay.
for advertising, having that in the right spots.
Yeah.
Right. We've got a really good marketing team that runs our Instagram. We've got Black Whiskey USA, Black Whiskey Peru, Black Whiskey Global. But so if y'all want to check that out, check it
Yeah,
out. But
that's
they
a
do
good
a good
idea.
they
We
do
should-
a good job there.
No, I'm saying because Davio is obviously well connected. His dad lives in Corfu.
Oh, nice.
Well, and
He
I-
went to
no,
you went to
Oh.
high school.
You don't know anything about me. I'm half.
No.
I'm half
Okay.
Greek. Yeah,
Oh.
that's why I say that.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Let's
Yeah,
do
that's
it.
why I was. That's what I was
Okay, there
leading
it is.
towards.
Okay, yeah, that sounds awesome.
Remember what we were talking before the cameras
You know, he's
ran?
right.
He's going to claim the word whiskey is Greek.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just wait, it's coming.
Listen.
This isn't olives. All right.
Whiskey.
And not all words are. You know, one of the things I
can-
love. So this is a total sidebar, but one of the things I love about Greek language in Greece is how they use the word of whoever invented it. So you think in Greece they would have their own word for everything? No. Computer. Bidet.
Yes.
If you invented it, elevator. You know, they'll use whatever word.
Right.
Gold digger. How about that
Now,
one?
almost every word. No, they already had a word for that.
Oh, they have a word for that.
Yeah. No, if it's an ancient concept, then they have the original word.
Yeah.
But if it's a new thing, Andean whiskey.
Yeah, whiskey.
Yeah.
Whiskey is
need
how
it.
they say it in Greek.
They need it there.
Yeah, because they didn't invent it, so they're happy to give credit.
Right.
So the
And,
U.S., where do you have it in the U.S. where people might
So in the
find it?
U.S., so we are in Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Colorado, and Massachusetts. But if you go to blackwhiskeyonline.com, you can buy it there. And it will
ship
it's
it.
it's a ship. Yeah, it's
From
a home
Texas
delivery.
or from where? Where is the
From anywhere,
distribution?
from all states.
Where's
in
your
the-
distribution center?
So where I just mentioned. So
Oh, in those
Florida,
states.
yeah,
Each
Florida,
one has their
Texas,
own.
yeah,
Okay.
Tennessee, Colorado.
Now, are you guys, obviously, as you age it more and more, you get higher and higher
We don't
labels?
know.
Do you guys have some that you're holding back
Well,
to be like?
we are, yeah. So we're
Like the
actively
high label.
tasting and testing. But here's the thing: the only thing that's comparable to what we're doing is Balcones in Waco, I think, Waco, Texas. They're making whiskey out of blue corn, which is maize, and their number one seller is called Baby Blue. It's aged 6 months. And if you guys go to the
Wasn't that
Texas
a porn movie
Rangers,
called Baby Blue?
I don't
I
know.
think so. No, back in the
We can look.
70s, in Canada, there were the Baby Blue movies.
I think that's Leverage Podcast After Dark.
Yeah.
By 6 p.m.
But if you go to the Texas Rangers new stadium, outside they've got a whole balconies,
Yes.
whatever
Booth. et
I
cetera,
mean,
yeah.
they're big. They're big time now. So we went to their distillery, talked to them. We said, "Hey, we're just curious, why 6 months?" And they said, "We tried aging." I said, "Why not age it longer?" He said, "That's where it peaks." They said, "After a year, it's not even drinkable."
But yours
2 years,
6
3 years.
years.
Your stuff gets better with age.
Ours so far has.
That's kind of.
So we don't know
Nobody
what
knows.
the.
We don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, we
I'm
don't know.
excited.
Yeah, but right now with even we've bottled 3, 4, and 5-year-old. I think it was the 4-year-old that won the big contest.
So
And
far,
it's
4 is
it's beating 12-year, 15-year whiskey already. So
4-year might be the sweet spot
Yeah,
for
I
you
don't
guys.
know.
That's
It
great
is
because then
getting
you can
better,
get.
though. It does keep getting better. So
Oh, you think it's even better, like 6, 7?
yeah, I mean, what I tasted when I was down there a couple of weeks ago, that's 6 years old that we are not selling yet, it is getting better. So
Impressive.
I'll have some.
So
I'll have some of that.
you're trying to expand your market in the U.S.
yes,
concurrent with your international market. What about in
Yep.
Europe? Where is it available in Europe?
so Spain, Portugal, Germany,
You guys aren't in
Poland.
England yet?
not yet.
I went
No,
to
not yet.
university in England for 4 years.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
where?
Bath, the University of Bath.
Bath. Okay,
Where no one took a.
I had a buddy who went to Oxford over there.
They were in our division.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, I played them in football
He
and
lives in
basketball.
Houston. Yeah, he's an attorney now.
Yeah, the 150-pound class in the low.
Uh-huh.
Under 6 foot tall. He was great at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're English.
That's actually one of the ways that we bonded was we both played similar positions in sports.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm an ex-athlete
Yeah, I
in
knew
my
that.
younger years. Right?
So what did you play again in college? You said?
Basketball and football.
Oh, basketball, football.
Tiddly winks.
Okay, nice. There you go. I was a track runner. So
Okay, what was your events?
the quarter and the 400 hurdles. So
Like your son, almost.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, that's why
So he
runs.
has a son that's very athletic, very talented, and he's doing track and field, the
Yep.
hurdles,
Yeah.
and he's doing
So he's
football as
running.
well.
He's running both hurdles that I ran in high school: the 300 hurdles, the 110s, and he's doing the mile relay. It's exactly what I did. That's what my
Against
daughter
white
did
guys.
too.
No, nothing.
How old is he?
He's 14.
Okay.
Eighth grade.
But
Eighth grade.
his golf game has been developing.
Right.
That's
yep.
the other.
So we're
part
trying
too.
out for Frisco High School golf May 1st. So coming up.
I've had friends that were on the people I know that were on the tour, and I've had
Yeah.
people that were almost as good.
Oh wow. Right. The
And the difference between the ones
Oh.
that could make the tour and the ones
big
that
difference, huh?
no, small difference.
Right. But
The
to get
ones who could
that-
make the tour never blame themselves. They never internalize. If a shot missed, it was the wind. The guy made the noise, this or that. But
Right.
they were focused in on, I did everything right.
Right.
Something else was the mistake.
Oh.
They kept
Whereas the
that-
ones that had the same ability but didn't have the same results would get in their own heads about, it's my fault.
Right.
They're a little more sensitive.
So the psychology of it was that they were internalizing the negatives,
The psychopaths are the ones that
and
did
they
better.
would do
Right.
poorly
Yeah, yeah.
thereafter. But his son's a very good athlete, and I think he's going to be probably a lot taller than you. I imagine.
I think so.
Yeah.
He's already 5'10" in the 8th grade.
Oh,
So
wow.
Yeah,
I'm 6'2".
but he's very coordinated.
Yeah, I am as well.
yeah.
And he also, I think he has a lot of focus on it. He enjoys
does.
it. He enjoys
Yeah, he
it.
does.
He loves doing
That's
it.
the secret. That's the secret.
Yep.
You don't have to make him, work at it. He will do the work on his own.
Yep.
Which is a gift at that age.
Yeah. True.
Not
for
video
sure.
games, not
Right.
time wasting.
Yeah.
But focus. Oh, that's all good. But the key for many parents who have talented kids is not to live through them and not to impose their own pressure and stress or them become measure their happiness through the success of the kid.
Well-
You have to separate, and that's
Right.
what professional coaches will say. Hey, parents, over there, let me be the coach, good
Right.
and bad guy. Go get the drinks
Yeah.
and shut
And
your
be
mouth
quiet.
and
Yeah.
be quiet.
Well, it goes back to what you just said. His son loves it. The
Yes.
kid's own,
Yeah,
at
well,
the
that's a
end of
gift.
the day, if the kid doesn't have that light, and when the parents get too involved, the
It
kid,
wastes.
the kid doesn't.
So Davio has coaching talent himself, I
Okay.
must say,
Yeah.
in multiple sports.
That's good.
Not
I don't-
not just the tiddlywinks, but some basketball,
Right.
some football.
I
players.
haven't coached in a long time. When I was younger, when I was working on Wall Street, I had some lucky opportunities to work coaching basketball.
Oh, nice.
I got to coach actually some players who are in the NBA now. I love it, but
I got to hang out on the baseball fields when my son was growing up, and assistant baseball coach. It was nice being out there with him. But once he got to 6th grade, and that's about as far
Well,
as I
and
could take
you
him.
got your business to run.
Yeah,
and,
right.
Other than the whiskey that he's involved with
that's
Mike-
growing,
Mike-
right? And
Yeah.
It's growing. Yeah.
Yeah.
like your involvement though is like
in the whiskey business. So here's the thing: I was originally just an investor.
Right.
That was the whole thing.
Right.
So, but I do, as Fred says, I'm a commercial glass contractor. I've got
Right.
a pretty successful business here in Dallas.
He's done some of the schools here in the
Yeah.
Highland Park district,
Right.
and you have some projects going on downtown.
Mm-hmm. We're
And
doing
you've done a Baylor hospital
We've
facility.
done several. We've done 6 Baylor Scott and White hospitals around the Metroplex.
Yeah.
I mean, you could
Huge
not be
projects.
in a better place on earth
yeah.
for construction.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
We've got
Yeah.
our biggest backlog we've ever had. It's April, and I've already told my estimator, no more. Don't put anything else in this year. Put it in next year because we can't. We're at full capacity. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Right. That's
We're a mid-sized company.
looks like you need to expand.
Possibly, what our problem is, and everybody's problem that's in this type of a skilled trade is finding the skilled
Employees.
tradesmen.
Yeah.
You know,
The
and
tradesmen.
finding the tradesmen. Yep, finding the project managers that can run these projects. That's what's limited us.
Yeah.
Is there not enough schools, or just not enough people that are interested in it?
There's no school for glass and glazing at all. We are so.
So how do you find these people?
So that's an interesting question. So
That's why I'm
I
here.
am serving my 7th year on the board of directors for the Texas Glass Association. We are the governing board in Austin that regulates the Dallas and Houston board. So I am now the committee chairman for our education committee, and we've been working 4 years to launch a training program. We've just now got the curriculum set. We've got the instructors. We actually just launched about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So we're hoping that this is going to draw in. We're going to start going to high school job fairs and saying, "Hey, kids, you can go to college, you can go to trade school, you come here and you could learn glass and glazing,
And you have a career.
and this is what 1 year would look like, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. If you want to get into project management, estimating, so
What kind of career?
doing it ourselves.
What kind of career can someone expect from starting from high school, working their way up if they have a little gumption?
Okay,
Great
so
question.
so a typical career. Let's say if you want to be a glazer, you want to be an installer.
You want to get married out of high school
Right.
sweetheart.
Yeah, just have a good paying job. Within 4 years, you're going to be making $50,000 to $65,000 a year. Which
Working
that's
how
what-
many hours?
40 hours. Working 40 hours.
Yeah.
Is there a way to go up if you become a
So
project manager?
if you get into now, and you can still go up to $120,000
With more hours.
as a foreman, as a fabricator. There's not even with more hours, just more skill.
More skill, yeah, okay.
So we've had
And
we've had,
are you guys going to have the training for those other levels as well?
well, once someone chooses this path and they go through our training program and they're going to be hired by one of the companies that are
You guys
in the
need
association.
people. It's
We need
it's
people.
literally get the job.
Right, and we're going to take them from there and continue to develop them and lead them in the direction that they want to go. So that's the rest of it's on the job. But I know project managers and estimators that can make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. So, just depends on
the person.
depends on what you do with the person, where you want to go. I'm part of a group called Glass Control. We've been around as a group for about 85 years. We own 30 glass contracting companies throughout Texas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. And we have a program where we promote within and we bring these people up as owners. And if, we have a rule, you have to work for us for at least 5 years, show us some dedication, show us some assertiveness, some that you really want to do this. And that's the program I went through with this group. And I now own my own business. I co-own Lubbock Glass and Mirror in Lubbock. I co-own Bell Glass out in Killeen. And, when you get stock options in these other companies, then you've got a whole nother revenue stream coming in. And in the glass industry, it's not hard to do that. People just don't realize that. I mean, it's a small industry that no one knows a lot about.
See, that's the
So,
key.
But
Very
Right.
few people know about
Yeah.
it.
I'm only laughing because we had the exact same conversation with a previous guest about the roofing industry. And
Okay, yeah.
he used that
Well,
exact line.
That's
so
true. So
Let me ask something on this. So you've grown you have your tentacles in multiple businesses, and you have your own.
right.
What kind of time does that take from you? Because that seems like you're busy.
great question.
You know.
Okay, so as I just mentioned, I was in Peru for 10 days for the shareholder meeting. So I get back here.
Oh, that's right.
What was it last?
You were
Thursday?
telling me today. I be getting up at 2 a.m.
This week,
start
I have
work.
got up every day this week before 3 a.m., a couple of times before 2 a.m., and I'm on I get up, I go make some coffee, I get my laptop out, I'm answering emails, but I'm digging out of a hole. I've been gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I've got a new project manager. So, and we've got the biggest backlog we've ever had. And we just have a
Perfect time to take
Yeah,
10 days to
perfect-
go to
perfect
Peru
time.
and get a tattoo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Whiskey.
Exactly.
It's the
Now
whiskey
It's
trip.
good to be the
Price.
boss.
Paying the price. But I'll say it's cyclical, So right now, like this week, I was in the office every day by 3 or 4 o'clock. I got up this morning at 2:30, and we're here. It's 5, 6 o'clock. So, but I will say this: once I get these jobs
Caught up.
started, things get caught up. I may have a couple of months where I work, 3 or 4 days, not a week. This is my 32nd year, though.
Right.
So
Of course.
comes with experience.
Experience and knowledge.
But there's, nothing. Yeah, everybody should know. If you want to have something of value, you've got to be willing to put the time and the
No doubt.
dedication in,
Yeah.
because it all falls on your shoulders. There's no one else to pick up the slack for you.
Right.
Well, one of
Yeah.
my
And you're often the guy that they have to call. You have a new manager. You have a new foreman.
Right.
Josh, hey, how do I do this?
Exactly.
We have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Who do I call? Oh,
Right.
and you know the answer because
Right.
you've done it
32
presumably
years. Right.
many times.
the aphorism I came up with, I haven't come up with. I'm a very limited writer. I've come up with a few pithy phrases.
Yeah.
When you have your own business, you set your own hours.
That's true.
24/7.
24/7. Yeah. That's
Good one, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But at least you're setting it, because I can tell just from the way you describe it, you're not waking up at 2 a.m. with an alarm like,
No.
No.
you're up.
I'm up. I'm
Yeah.
ready to go.
and your
And I
purpose
enjoy
is
what I do.
Yeah, you
have
can
to
tell.
enjoy what you do.
You can tell.
Yeah, I talked to him after he got back from Peru, and he said, "Look, I'm getting up at 2 or 3 in the morning because when I'm away, the mice will play, and there are things that I only can, address and solve."
Well, nobody cares
No
about your
doubt.
business as much as you do.
That's true.
Goes back to
I'll give you-
the phrase.
I had a clinic today, and I'm, as you know, a cardiologist. So yesterday, I see usually 30 plus people a day. Yesterday, my nurse practitioner was there. She was covering for the day. They saw 12 people. It's just to be expected.
Yeah.
Now, we are in a marathon, right?
Right.
We need to find alignment, mental health, physical health,
Right.
spiritual core health. So you don't want to burn out. And I think that's one of the problems that can occur if someone puts too much on their plate.
For sure.
Right? It's
Yeah,
better
you got to
to
be careful.
not, it's not a sprint.
Right.
It's a marathon.
That's
so you have
true.
to have your time.
True.
Like doing what you're doing now.
Right.
It's a nice
Absolutely.
break
It is.
from what you were
And
doing
like I said,
earlier.
I was in Peru for 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
I had fun down
You
there.
had fun down there. Plus
Now
you
I'm
have
just
good
paying the
friends.
price. I'm just paying
Tasting the
price.
new whiskeys.
You have your second best friend down
Had
there.
to call Fred.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so-
right. So tell us, let's talk a little medicine. So he recently discovered that he had, I believe, shrimp,
Absolutely.
perhaps iodine allergy. I mean, for the first time in his life.
All of a sudden.
All of a sudden, after I had COVID.
Yeah. So interestingly, COVID, because of the spike protein, and the spike protein has 3 parts to it. Perhaps I'll do a whole segment on that at some point about coronavirus and et cetera, which is very interesting on what it does to your body, to the cardiovascular, neurologic system, hematologically speaking, and so on. But in his case, it created a set of circumstances that made him more susceptible to shrimp. So how did you discover
Right.
this?
So I went there last year, 2022, and we went to have dinner at Club Nacional. It's a
in Lima,
club
in Lima, Peru.
Yep.
Yeah, in Lima.
For you Americans, that's Club National.
Club National. There you go. Yeah. So we have the prawns for
you Greeks,
appetizer.
it's Club Nacional.
Yeah. So we have prawns for an appetizer. And then we had, I can't remember, some beef and entree and dessert and coffee. And we sat there an hour and a half and visited. Well, on the way home in the cab, I was just feeling weird. I mean, I felt like I was drugged. I told Mike, I said, man, something's wrong. He's like, what's up, dude? What do you mean? I said, I don't know.
You weren't having alcohol or any other?
No, we didn't. I had one drink. Seriously, I had one drink.
Okay, you know, in
I had
Mexico,
one drink.
1 is half.
No.
2 is 1. 3
His-
is barely any.
Well,
and 4 is 2.
Mike's uncle was coming to meet with us, and he's a very serious guy. So we weren't gonna.
Yeah.
We literally have. I think I had one glass of wine.
Now remember, Mike and him go back to a time
25
of
years.
debauchery and
Yes.
misbehaviors. So for
You
them to have
You keep
big-
alluding to that.
Big time debauchery.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So the lesson, as always, is in your youth, party hard, and
Party
you might
hard.
be invited into an investment group to
Yeah,
one of
there
the
you
hot,
go.
the number one
Exactly.
whiskey in the world. If you hadn't gone and partied with him,
hadn't have done
you
that,
never would have been invited into this
Exactly.
thing.
That's right.
That's the
Yeah.
lesson, kids. The message.
And they
Go have
traded
fun.
more than just drinks. Huh? Anyways, so you were feeling bad in the taxi.
Feeling bad, yeah. And so we get back to the house, and I'm feeling horrible. And Fred, you're the doctor here. What's the thing that hangs down
The
your throat?
uvula.
The epiglottis.
Uvula.
Uvula.
I thought that was the epiglottis.
No, that's the stuff on top of your larynx.
So the uvula was so swollen in my throat that it was touching.
Red like that.
And I was like, what is going on here? You know, so I've kind of figured out I've got an allergy.
You know, he was feeling his own uvula.
Yeah.
Would not recommend
That's
it.
not a good feeling. No, it's not a good feeling.
No.
So luckily I had some azolastine, which is
Antihistamine.
which is because I've got allergies.
Yeah.
And so I sprayed that and
Helped you out.
5 or 6 hours of just misery.
Misery, yeah.
I finally was able to go to sleep about 4 o'clock in the morning. So I come back to the States, and a couple months go by, and me and my wife were out having lunch, and she has a shrimp salad. And I said, hey, let me have one of those shrimp. She goes, babe, yeah. She goes, of course, you always eat shrimp. She goes, I'm telling you. She goes, I don't know what you thought you were allergic to in Peru, but it wasn't shrimp. Ah, sure. So I eat the shrimp. Didn't think twice about it.
Did he neglect to tell you she got a really good life insurance policy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Honey, would you like another?
Shovel it down.
So 2 or 3 hours go by, I completely forget about it, and all of a sudden,
And by the way, women are medical experts.
oh yeah, you know they are. Yeah. But all of a sudden, I get the same. You know, my throat's swelling up. I'm flushing. I'm sweating. I mean, just horrible feelings.
Right,
so I'm
right.
like, take me to the ER. You know, so we go to a minor emergency clinic. I walk in there and say, hey,
Here
do
in
you guys
Frisco,
have-
in Frisco,
in
North
Frisco,
Dallas.
Yep, Frisco. I said, hey, do you guys have an EpiPen? They said, no. I turned around. They're like, sir, do you need an EpiPen? I said,
Yes.
yes. They said, don't leave. They said, we don't have an EpiPen, but we have another injection we can give
They
you.
give you dexamethasone.
They give me 3 different
Kenalog,
shots.
Some Kenalog.
I guess so.
and
They're like, we
Dexa.
can charge you for all
Yeah,
three
yeah, all
shots.
three, yeah.
Did they give you an IV?
They did give me an IV.
So that was
yeah.
Solumedrol, maybe.
Okay, yeah. They give me
Solucortef.
3 shots and an IV.
Yeah. So, and probably some.
They're like, do you have good insurance? And then,
Right,
well,
exactly.
we got to try
Oh,
everything.
sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's try that.
That's their business model.
yeah.
I've got a PPO with
But what was funny,
no deductible.
The ER doctor comes in, he goes, because I've been in there for 3 hours now, observation, and talking to the nurses, and he comes in, he goes, let me ask you a question. He goes, you did this on purpose? I said, well, yeah. I said, I was, I didn't know. I said, this happened last year, and
Right.
it's never happened before, so I didn't think it was real. He
You've
said,
been eating shrimp all your life.
all
Yes.
my life, shrimp, everything.
Oh, shrimp cocktail with that red sauce.
So let me tell you what just happened
The
last week.
COVID hyper sensitize the T helper cells that start the reaction. The IgE, it's an IgE mediated reaction. Anyway,
So
separate
last
topic.
week, I'm in Peru, and we're having lunch, and they bring out scallops. And everybody there, well, Fernando and Mike both know that I had the allergic reaction to the shrimp. And Fernando goes,
These are
Oh, yeah, you
scallops.
can have these. I said, are you sure? He goes, oh, Josh, listen, I am allergic to shrimp, but I'm not allergic to scallops. You can have, you're good. All right. Bring me another pisco sour.
No.
Let's eat. And I ate like 6 of them.
Yeah. No, he didn't realize that the scallops were kept in the same bucket with the shrimp.
No, I'm pretty sure. No, I'm positive. I'm allergic to scallops as well.
Wow, God bless. Did you have an EpiPen this time?
No. So
You
I
gotta
called
start
Fred.
carrying that.
I called
Calls me
Fred. So I'm in
Peru.
downtown Lima.
And you call Fred.
Call Fred, yeah.
That's the kind of doctor, Dr. Suave. You know that's his nickname, right?
No.
From the song.
Oh, yeah.
The
You don't remember that song?
No. What is it?
Well, you know his name is
Tell him
Federico,
the song.
right?
Frederico, yeah.
Rico.
Rico Suave.
Yeah, that's why we call him Dr. Suave.
Okay.
Because back in the day when that song used to hit,
Yeah.
you know. So here's the backstory
I
on
could
this
see
story.
Fred.
Here's the story on this.
So he and I play chess,
Okay.
and he takes forever to make his
He only
moves.
plays checkers. So.
Well,
Yeah. I bet I could play chess.
but he
with
plays
you
a good checkers. So one of the things we do is we try to distract each other when it's the other guy's turn because we're, this is not a professional
course.
thing.
No,
We're just
right.
It's intimidation. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so
booing when the guy's throwing free throws.
I had the inspiration. I realized because that song came out in the '80s when he was he was medical school. He was the hot young doctor, like, and because this song is Rico and his name is Federico.
Federico, yeah.
That when that song would hit, he thought of himself.
Oh, I'm
And I
sure.
said that, and I started playing it.
And I lost.
And he made the biggest mistake ever.
Oh, God.
So from then on, my kids know him as Dr. Suave.
Dr.
There you
Suave.
go.
Yeah,
Okay, that's a new one.
So anyways, the
Put that in
scallops.
So anyway, the scallops. So we are in downtown Lima. That was lunch. And traffic there is, I can't
And you call
begin
him.
to describe it. So there's no way to get anywhere. So I call Fred. Well, first I went to the drugstore and I got Allegra. And it's not really working. So I call Fred. I'm like, Fred, what do I do?
It was
And he's
American
like,
Allegra. That's why, huh?
I guess. But what did you tell me to get?
Prednisone,
Prednisone.
steroids. Yeah.
Yep, prednisone. So I went back to the drugstore and found some children's cough medicine with prednisone.
Or you just shovel it down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I took that. Got back. Took us 4 hours to get home. Another 8 hours of just
Suffering.
misery, suffering. Yeah.
But it's okay.
So now you know you can't have
I
any
can't-
shellfish.
So I researched it,
You've become Jewish.
I guess.
It's not kosher.
But what I found out was that there's only like 13% of people that are allergic to both. But so I guess I am. I
It is
can't
rare.
have
It
any
is a small number.
shellfish.
That's a 1 in 8 chance.
Of those who are allergic to shrimp,
Right.
only 13 are
13%
allergic. So it's a
allergic
very
to-
minuscule
right. Yep.
number. Not
So I
13%.
can't- right. Exactly. So I
And
can't
this is
have-
new since COVID.
Yeah.
since COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God it wasn't beef or.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So, that was a lesson. So no more listening to lay people.
No more
Better call
listening
me
to
and
that.
go, hey, they're giving me these things that are in shells.
they came out of the
I'm gonna
water,
go, Carrie,
out of the ocean.
How much is that policy worth exactly?
How much aioli sauce, though? That
No, aioli is a different story. But anyways, so it's the balance, though, because at some point, this whiskey business that finally is starting to go after a number of years, you
Right.
put a lot of money into it, and Mike, of course, has spent, now what, 12, 15 years
right.
at
12,
least.
13.
But now it's becoming fun. You're seeing the
It is.
the
For me,
rise
for Mike, it's a lot
of
of work.
black Andean whiskey.
Right.
Which is a great thing to watch. Your little
is.
baby
That's awesome.
that has grown.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so,
It's my fun thing.
Yeah, it's a fun thing. Your glass company is your serious business.
yeah.
So I know your eldest daughter from your first marriage.
Hope.
She worked for you for a little while.
She did.
So she's a millennial, right?
She is.
Okay. So let's talk about the glass business and the millennials. Is that a bad fit?
No. She actually was really good at what
She
she
was-
did. She was really good at what she did. I just didn't realize when she moved here that she was dating someone from where she moved
West
from
Texas.
that wasn't going to move here.
Yeah.
So she was going
That was
home
our
every
issue.
weekend and back and forth. And it was just too much for
Put
her.
a toll on her and the kids.
Put a toll on her, yeah. And it's easier for her to move back
But
home.
if she had been here and dating someone
If
here,
she was here,
she'd be great at
Oh,
it.
she would be great.
Yeah.
She was
working
awesome.
in the office, right?
She was working in the office. She
Like
was
the
helping me
typical
do
millennial
payroll.
hours, 10 till
3.
Well, we
With a
worked
2-hour lunch.
Our hours were 7 to 5.
Yeah.
And it was a little when you're traveling every weekend and getting back, that was kind of hard on her, but it can be done.
By the way, I got your lab results not long ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, they look good.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Remember?
Yeah,
I think
you did. I
sent them
forgot
to
about
me,
that.
and
Right.
We talked about them, your cholesterol, your sugar, kidney, liver. You know, for someone who traumatized their liver for a long time.
Oh, right. That's a miracle.
Yeah.
I've been punishing that thing
For a time, the liver was on its
25
please, please help me.
Well, one of the things that
you
we
know.
talk about a lot on the podcast is how different genetic backgrounds, you're able to process things differently. So
Okay.
What are your genetics? Yes. Jumping into that.
40% Scottish. Pretty much Scottish, German.
So
you-
literally,
Well,
your ancestors have been processing sugar,
Sugars,
fructose,
fats,
alcohol,
Right.
and meat, animal
generations.
for
for
10,000 years.
10,000 years.
Right. Yeah,
Different from
that's-
mine.
I've got a good advantage.
If
I
I
guess.
had done what you've done, I would,
Be dead.
Yeah.
alcoholic cirrhosis,
Right.
type 2 diabetes, strokes, heart attacks.
His eyes would be yellow,
Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course.
and his teeth would be not.
Going.
Esophageal varices, portal hypertension,
Yeah.
ascites. I'd have a big pot belly like this little food.
Oh, right.
And vascular dementia. As well as something else called Wernicke-Korsakoff dementia, which is the alcohol-related dementia that people get. And
Right.
I don't mean to make light of it,
Right.
but some people are more susceptible than others. So alcohol affects people differently. So I mean, because you're selling whiskey, but you sell it with a caution. Enjoy
do.
it.
Oh, for sure.
Be prudent, which we're
Absolutely.
all for it.
Yeah,
we're all
absolutely.
for it.
Absolutely.
Be cautious.
Obviously, the
I actually
older we
need a
get,
freshening up.
We
know
learn
thyself.
that,
Well, maybe we should take a little break on that note, and then we can come back and do another segment.
Yeah, it was great to hear about all of the multifaceted ways and how over time you're able to leverage.
Right. Yeah. For
your
sure.
life. You've had a very interesting life, and
Yeah.
I know you grew up in
Been
West
blessed.
Texas and Abilene, right?
Abilene.
That's where your mom-
Haskell,
your-
Texas, north of Abilene.
Yeah. He claims he played football.
Yeah. Football and track.
Claims.
Well, were you a cornerback or a safety?
Safety.
That's what they call bench warmers.
Right.
No. Safety is.
Yeah, dude. No.
No, you were good, right?
Yeah.
They have-
I was
well, they have
2A
a
school.
tradition.
Yeah, but
Oh, yeah.
I'm a starter.
You could run.
Yeah, I could run.
A safety who can run. That's how I
So I
knew.
ran track though. We
Yeah.
we won state in track, so we had a lot of speed.
2A.
2A, yeah. Hey,
Hey, 2A Texas is like college
2A,
level in
yeah.
England.
we had a good squad for 2A.
Listen, I'm from Mexico. We're good at two things.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You know what that was?
What?
Women's diving. Really,
Right, women's
Mexican-
diving and
the walk.
and
there you
speed
go.
walking.
Speed walking. We do have a few boxers that do pretty well.
Yeah, yeah.
But soccer is our greatest desire and our greatest punishment.
The funniest
You know,
is, have you watched any of the Mexico games with Fred before?
Oh my God.
No.
Oh, well, first of all, you are
imagine.
missing out.
Yeah,
when
we
there's
need
a
to do that
big
next year,
international, like next World Cup or qualifying or whatever,
Yeah.
you have to watch with Fred because
I'd love
he
to.
I
is
suffer
the,
it.
well, he is the classic realist fan where he doesn't get his hopes up and
Right.
and it's
Yeah.
fun to banter with him because he's not like the irrational. Like I have a cousin who's an Oklahoma fan and you just can't even talk to him. He's like
right.
everything is the refs against them and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Whereas he's like, oh, it's they could be up 3-0.
They
He's like,
blow
this
it.
is the inevitable. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
What did he do that for?
and you know how funny he is, you know, so it's
Yeah.
it's perfect.
No, because in Mexico they label them as champions before the tournament. They're already counting like where the parade is going to go, the confetti, the piñatas, the tequila, the Coronas, everything. And then first match,
They've never come close to even come close to winning.
oh my God.
And they're like, how could this happen? You know?
What happened?
So after a short break, much needed, bladder calls, prostate calls. So as my football coach used to say, when practice interferes with your academics and schoolwork, F the schoolwork, okay?
I'm sure that's what he said. Yeah, all you young athletes out there.
No, but
fell out.
we're talking about, the next stage of dating, right? and especially you that you're single. You know, all those dating sites and the sweet right and left and so on. You know, I think dating has gotten too easy, too much variety. Those are not necessarily good things, and unfortunately, also fraught with all kinds of negatives. Because I think we touched on this in a prior conversation about the fact that, say on Tinder, maybe a quarter of those on it are women, and they make all the decisions. Only 5-10% of guys are getting anything. The rest are going home to porn and fast food.
Yeah.
Sexual activity is at lows, all-time lows
All-time
per
really?
capita. Yeah.
Yeah, and certainly more lower than in the 70s. The pre-HIV, post contraceptives and birth
So I've been
control.
married 18 years. I thought it was super easy now to get laid on Tinder or something. I don't know. I've never.
There is a
I'm
hookup
not
culture.
familiar with
There is a
those
hookup culture.
apps.
But it's small numbers.
The people
really?
that it's easy for some people.
Because
Oh,
girls
okay.
say we're a 10, and they're only going for guys that are at that upper echelon. Most guys aren't
okay.
getting. Yeah. So, you know, I tell girls, look, it's really not that difficult to date. I'll tell you, you don't need all that online dating. All you need is to know 5 things, okay? What's your blood pressure? What's your cholesterol? What's your blood sugar? What's your testosterone level? And do you have a job?
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Right. And if you're negative on those, run. Like, you don't need to fool with that guy, right? Kind
guess.
of. You'd be, more successful doing that than dating some player that's also has 6 others on the hook.
Yeah.
So right now there's more. So some people have just unbelievable choice, and so that creates a dynamic. The guys that have tons of choice, what do you think they're doing?
Oh, I know. I've got a buddy that's why I thought it was just easy, because he's like, oh yeah, I got a 5 o'clock, I got a 6 o'clock.
Well, because
I got
all
a
the
8
girls
o'clock. I'm
want,
like, dude,
all the girls want those
How
guys.
does this happen?
Or 80% of the girls.
He's
want
the
just those
shiny
guys.
object. He's the shiny
And
object.
so that culture is one of. I mean, he's dating
yeah,
multiple.
who wants to
and-
be a part of that though?
Well, he
Pretty
seems
shallow.
pretty happy.
Well, yeah, but he's not looking for a relationship either.
No, and they are, and no one's happy with it.
Right.
Well, he knows who he is, though.
He does.
Sure.
See, I have a problem with the guys that pretend to want the family and the kids.
Oh, when they lie.
and
To,
the
yeah,
picket
right.
fence. And yet they're exactly that friend of his.
Now I don't hear what he's saying to them, but I know him. So
Well, so the idea is for because people like to think that their experience is universal. So, what's happening to me is what's happening out there, and it's not. It's life is divided, and I think this is one of the keys that makes your practice so successful. Is people are divided into subcultures. They're divided into
doubt.
niches. You have different genetics. You have different experiences. So, for most guys, it's a bit of a dry spell.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're getting the girls. I had a friend. It's a great line. We drop it about every third podcast. I'm looking for a girl with low self-esteem and a lot of enthusiasm. So for most guys, you're waiting to find the girl on the low ebb night.
With
where
daddy issues?
Yeah.
here's Valentine's Day when they're about to turn a big number. They'll date anyone. They're open.
Right.
They're like,
okay.
Whereas most days they're like, I want the king of the world.
Right.
So you have the large percentage of guys that are just waiting for the scraps. And it's funny, in deer culture, you have 2 types of mating strategies. You have the alpha buck males that are just can defeat anyone, and their genetics get passed on.
Right.
And then you have the ones that skulk around the outside of the thing, and they hide from that male, and they catch the girls, the does,
Waiting for the scraps.
when they're not available. So for the majority of guys, that's where they are. And there's a small percentage of guys where it just feels like a cornucopia of just endless plethora of choice.
In variety, yes.
And those guys, you end up kind of thinking, wow,
Why
reminds me
settle?
exactly.
Settle down.
The Seinfeld. Do you remember that show a long time
Oh,
ago?
Yeah, I love Seinfeld.
He always would find any little excuse, and he's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Let me find someone else.
She eats peas one at a time.
I'm out. But nobody,
I understood the man hands episode. I got that one.
yeah.
or the close talker. That's another one.
Yeah.
So But what happens is women know that they have a half-life, right?
Yep.
No one's hornier than a childless woman in her 30s, right?
right.
Oh, they are good
Hey, hold on.
to.
That's when he got married.
They are
course
good.
it is.
Well, yeah, they are good
What do
to
you
go.
think?
So
Who do you think I found? No.
women have this time clock where they are very aware of it, and it affects their behavior for sure.
No, I can see that.
Men are always told you can have kids till you're 90.
Well, not if you have erectile dysfunction and low testicular function.
We're not told
and
about
poor
all that.
self-esteem.
Unless they listen
And
to the
and you
leverage.
got-
They don't
and you got
have
a
that.
big gut. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Unless
somehow.
they listen to the Leverage podcast, they don't know about all this stuff. And that's why people listen to this, so they can get ahead of this.
The endothelial dysfunction.
I'm being the layman. You guys are the experts. Let me have my role. So most men, and you're married, so you don't have to worry
Right,
about this,
yeah.
but they think, oh, I've got, what's the song? I've got all the time in the world. And so that's how they approach it.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is as you get older, and this is what I want to get into the nitrous oxide. that we-
Broadway is not coming a calling.
Right.
Hey, it wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
Even though you can still
For a Greek
reproduce,
guy.
Yeah.
even though you can still reproduce into your 80s,
Yes.
Right.
it's a lot different competing in the dating market
Against
when
the-
you're the 20-year-old
right.
or the early 30-year-old
You have the peak.
compared to when you're the 40-year-old who you still feel young, but as we're going to discuss, and I want
Right.
to what that entails. Now the girls have the option of the 20-year-old as well, and all of a sudden, even though in your head you're like, "Oh, I'm a buck till I'm 90.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be shooting blanks for a while." They
There-
make the choice.
Yes.
Right.
So tell us what it is that makes us less attractive as we get older, even if we do all the weights and the thing and
Well,
do everything perfect.
Okay, so let me say, like a good wine or his 4 or 6-year-old whiskey that gets getting better.
Yep.
Many men do get better with age, but in ways that are not only more attractive to women who are smart enough to see those characteristics, but also in the way in which the man has control of negative impulses, becomes a mature individual about giving, being a great provider, responsible, self-accountable. Those characteristics, among others, okay, that do make a man more attractive with age. What you were referring to,
But
Is-
there's a counter force.
yeah, correct. So in the inner lining of our blood vessels, genetically speaking, we're giving a factory. That factory is one that produces a very important hormone called nitric oxide, which was the molecule of the decade in the 1980s. That's when it was discovered what it did, which is dilates your genitals.
How much do you know about nitrous oxide?
Not much. I know that you see it in supplements, weight training supplements, that
And it-
increases your muscle volume.
And
That's all I know about
the engorgement, the blood flow.
Do those supplements
The corpus cavernosum, right?
Do those supplements work?
No.
Yeah.
So,
it's not
so there are the top 5. So we're given, when we're born, we have a certain DNA template, and these proteins around our DNA called the epigenetics. And our environment influences the epigenetics, which then influence the DNA and the expression of certain genes. So in an optimal world, we peak sometime between the age of 17 and 25 in terms of nitric oxide production. And typically, this is a gas that's diffused into the wall of the artery and allows the artery to relax by decreasing by increasing something called cyclic GMP. So the muscle relaxes and blood goes into the penis and stays hard and stiff.
But not just the penis.
Well, if like you and I are
Like if
having
I'm
a
doing
conversation,
push-ups, it's nitrous oxide that
it increases blood flow to your muscle.
that does that.
The same at the coronary artery level. So when Josh runs 100 yards, ideally, if he has a healthy endothelium, which is the site where the nitric oxide is produced, then the blood flow, what is called the coronary blood flow, doubles, triples, even quintuples from the resting blood flow. So you're able to send more oxygen and nutrients to the pumping heart muscle. So the heart
Is it safe to say nitrous oxide?
nitric oxide.
Nitric oxide.
Yeah. It's not nuclear, okay? It's nitric oxide.
Have you noticed that I never pronounce any word correctly?
That's okay. We don't want to correct you.
Listen, because I try to use the original Greek pronunciation.
So
as my
what's
story.
your question?
Is it safe to say that it is literally the most important molecule for our function as animals?
Yes. So yes, I would say it's about the most important molecule outside of, say, God.
Water or oxygen.
I was waiting for Fred
Water.
to recommend that before we have sex, we get naked and run 100 yards.
Yes.
With where you were going with that.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, so the muscles will get blood flow, but when you're running 100 yards, your genitals are not getting the blood flow because of something called homeostasis. So we divert our blood to the exercising muscles because we need to flee or run from a lion or some dangerous situation, right? So the heart is a muscle. It has 3 major arteries, and the arteries have 3 layers. The inner layer is the endothelium, 1 cell thick, and
That's a Greek word.
endothelium. Yes.
Oh, I learned something today.
The word thick or endothelium?
Endothelium.
Good. Yes. So that one produces the
Thick,
nitric
I
oxide.
think, is a different color.
And the nitric oxide may have a half-life of anywhere from 4 seconds up to 30 seconds. When you're younger, you produce more endothelium by an enzyme called nitric oxide synthase. And it may last 30 seconds. So you have to produce it all the time.
So young people not only get better boners, but the boners last longer.
Yes.
Okay.
And so the arousal comes quicker.
Right.
So this is why premature ejaculation, young men that are not as, I want to be politically correct, they're shitty at doing sex compared to an older guy that is fit.
All the ladies listening
Because
to this
that guy
podcast,
can do it better.
remember,
More experience.
you'd be better off with the gray-haired guy.
The art of seduction, right? Because you have just enough nitric oxide to double, triple your blood flow and maintain an erection, but you have the experience on seduction, on intimacy, because it involves all the senses, from your prefrontal cortex to the nucleus accumbens, telling the amygdala, just stay away from that, and then sending those signals from the hypothalamus down the spinal cord to the T12, L2 level. Where is the pudendal nerve? Pudendal is another Greek word. What's it mean?
Pudendo?
Yeah, it means I can. Puedo. Puedo means I can do it. And it goes out. This is where sometimes paraplegics can get great erections. And I've taught a couple how to do it.
Oh.
Yeah.
You've taught them.
I taught the woman first. Get there.
That's interesting.
It's an intensive
That's
course.
why they call him Dr. Suave.
Suave. Yeah. Now I'm understanding.
Yes. I mean, let's say you had the misfortune of becoming a paraplegic. You wouldn't want someone to take your wife, teach her how to
of course,
help you. Right? It's an intensive course. But it's all a circuit there. In the end, it's the endothelium producing the nitric oxide through 2 enzymes. One is the enzyme that produces a steady amount all the time, called the constitutive nitric oxide synthase. And then there's the inducible one. So when we men, the reason why women say we're very visual creatures, it's true. We have to see, hear, touch, and internalize all of those sensations through this internal circuit that goes all the way to increasing the inducible nitric oxide that vasodilates within seconds to allow more blood flow to stay in our corpus cavernosa. We have 2 that look like rockets, of course. Some look tiny little things, but some are bigger, right? And it's not I've seen Asian men that are like this, and I've seen black guys that are like this.
Right.
And so the stereotypes don't fit. Okay, it's an individual thing.
Is that statistical?
Yes.
So literally, the stereotypes don't fit.
Do not fit. I'm telling you.
Listen,
this is an important
you
thing.
are the reason why people tune into this podcast. Obviously, we have amazing guests.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have the voice.
Yes.
But the reason is your expertise. So literally, I didn't know that.
So this is why
I thought Greeks had the
for
biggest.
men, the reason why we like see, there you go with the stereotypes.
Now you know why I'm on the podcast.
Right? So, the key is maintaining the health of our endothelium. So you know that song "Yesterday" by the Beatles, Paul McCartney. I'm not.
Does it go like yesterday?
I'm not the man I used to be. It's true, but he didn't know why. Because with aging, our nitric oxide production goes down. So,
is there any way to stop that or reverse that?
There's a way
Drink
to
black whiskey. Hey, I'm telling you, it's you gotta try it.
There you go. See, the Andes secret of the Andes.
That's why they
You
are
could
famous,
sell that.
great lovers.
Yes. So, as time goes on, and most
You're
of
having
us
trouble in bed.
Yes.
Drink black whiskey.
we dip. Okay.
I think we found the TikTok clip,
Yeah.
Chandler.
So this is what, we have to maintain those 5 main insults to our nitric oxide. And in no particular order, they are tobacco, cigarette, and all its multiple chemicals, thousands of them, that destroy.
Are you trying to
Yeah,
destroy
those
our
are-
chances of getting
those are terrible.
sponsorship from the cigarette industry?
Yeah.
Yeah, from
I guess so. There goes that revenue stream
from Mr. Morris.
from the cardiologist. That, to be fair, I guess that's not our brand.
And pre-diabetes and diabetes, as well as hypertension, and what I call dyslipidemia. So this is the main. There's a 6th one that often is not spoken about, which is mental emotional stress. So all of those.
That actually affects it the
Yes.
same as those other ones?
Yes. To varying degrees, depending on the severity of each of those.
Right.
So someone who's on uncontrolled diabetes, that's going to be the predominant reason for the endothelial function to go bad. And endothelial dysfunction is the first sign of early cardiovascular disease. So I see guys in their 20s who come in for this problem and say, I'm having problems maintaining an erection, give me Viagra. I said, no, we need a conversation. Let's find the root cause of the problem. What is causing your endothelial problem at the age of 29? Because you shouldn't have it at this age. So we go down the list. Are you smoking? Are you sleeping?
Is smoking
7, 8
number
hours?
one?
Snow at that age. Because they're not type 2 diabetics at 29. Some are type 1 diabetics and they will have endothelial dysfunction. Yes. But that's the minority. I'm talking about the individual who is not a type 1 diabetic, or who hasn't had, say, a radiation exposure to the testicle, or a seminoma, like, say, the bike rider
Armstrong Parker.
Yeah.
Lance.
So, who had that in chemo. Those are toxic agents to the testicle. Certain viral agents can do that as well, okay? So, assuming that is not the case, then it's smoking, poor sleep pattern, bad diet. So I did a study.
Sleep is ahead of diet.
I would say stress is ahead of diet at that age. Plenty of guys that eat burgers and fries into their 30s, and they can get a great erection on demand.
But lack
of sleep is chronic fatigue that results in depression, anxiety, loss of libido, no interest, and
So
poor
is it safe to
productivity.
say if you're 50 or older
Yeah.
and you have no problems with erectile dysfunction that you've got a
He's speaking for a
relatively
friend? Is he speaking
safe
for a friend?
heart, relatively healthy
Yes.
heart?
So
Well, no, is it the heart or is it the endothelium?
endothelial function.
Well, I thought that
The
came
heart-
from
that's-
the heart, though.
No,
Right.
no, it's just the blood vessels.
Yeah. But if you have healthy blood vessels, you provide more nutrients
For the heart.
oxygen, and get rid of toxic.
But what comes
products.
first? The blood vessels or the heart?
The
Yeah.
blood vessels get damaged first. The endothelium is the
Okay.
first.
Okay.
And here's where I'm going with it, so we
We've
can.
got good blood vessels.
Yeah.
You've
So
got a good
for
heart.
each decade of life, we ought to have certain endothelial function. And unfortunately, with aging, we do lose the ability to make nitric oxide.
Is there any way to stop that?
Yes, that's what I said.
No.
Drink black whiskey.
No, but isn't there, no matter what you do, I thought that no matter what you do, at some point, you can't stop the inevitable.
It is inevitable a decline, but you can slow down the decline. You can age gracefully.
You can age gracefully, but you can't stop the aging.
You can't
Yeah.
stop the curve going this way.
That's the holy grail.
Yeah, unfortunately. But some guys go this way and some guys go this way.
Right.
Right. So you want to
that
be
makes
here.
sense. Right.
So,
of course. Yeah.
So there's a genetic component to it,
and you guys are both clearly
and your lifestyle.
like this.
Hopefully so.
That's why you guys are on the Leverage podcast.
I think he's
Yeah.
lying.
There we go.
Okay.
No. You guys, no.
So, anyways, what happens is you slow it down through optimizing.
What's number one? Let's go in order.
So, what I call your hang
Sleep.
score.
What's number?
No, I'll tell you. It's called the hang score.
Okay.
Healthy diet.
Okay.
So,
No junk
vegetables.
What is the healthy
fruit,
diet?
More plant based. With if you're going to be into animal meat.
So don't
portion
eat.
control.
So don't eat meat.
No, I didn't say that. Portion control.
What is the optimum diet? Or is it genetically
No,
based?
the Mediterranean diet is the one that has the best data worldwide.
Yeah.
Meta-analysis, Journal of American College of Cardiology, put it all together. And by far, where your people, where you're from, they eat the best way. Traditionally, over.
Well, the Greeks are the most advanced civilization that mankind has ever seen. I mean, that's clear.
Did they make black
The
whiskey?
cardiologist said this.
But they
Yeah.
didn't make black
Did
whiskey,
they?
did they?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No.
Okay, then.
Well,
See?
they built upon the Greek.
I see.
The Greek. You guys use math, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a Greek.
Remember, I told
It's
you
kind
I
of
was Scottish.
It's Scottish. We got to give.
All those
You got to give credit to the
thousands of
Scottish.
years. You know,
What is your favorite part of Greece?
never been. Never been.
Well, when black whiskey.
It looks beautiful.
Yes.
I
You'll
know
have to-
black whiskey
it looks
is going to make a big entree into
Yes.
Greece in 2023.
And I'm going there
Yeah.
this summer, by the way.
No, well, we all are clearly because
That'd be
we have a
awesome.
lot of meetings.
Yeah, we'll need to go do a
Reckoning.
big,
Back to the,
Yeah, so
the male
production
function.
The best
The male function.
diet. We're talking about the best
Mediterranean
diet.
diet by far.
We're trying to maximize
Don't get
NO.
so excited.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to maximize NO levels.
Correct. So plant-based, whole grains, fish, plenty of exercise, fresh air, sunlight, red wine, olive oil.
Yep.
That's it. Okay?
So, are you saying that everybody
pescatarian.
knows how to do what they need to do? It's just a question of doing it.
It's a question, the information is out there, obviously. It's a question of some discipline, some information, and hopefully some discipline. It's a combination of all that. But the information is there. So that's the one that's been shown to prevent the onset of diabetes, prevent the onset of vascular dementia. So we go to vascular dementia. That's an important topic because it's about endothelial dysfunction and the progression of first what is called subclinical atherosclerosis. So those cholesterol deposits in the inner lining
What do you mean by subclinical?
means you have no symptoms yet and you're depositing cholesterol. You're building plaque in your carotids, in your intracerebral arteries, in your coronary arteries, in your abdominal aorta, and clearly in your legs, iliofemoral arteries, all the way down to your toes. So that occurs over time, starting sometime in some people in their 20s. In fact, during the Korean War, American and Korean soldiers who died in their 20s, their autopsies showed two vastly different populations of people. The Koreans had clean arteries. Same age Americans, yellow streaks. They were eating what were called K rations in the American diet of high saturated fats and lots of sugar.
Sodium, high sodium as well.
That wasn't the big issue
Okay.
for those
Insulin
young.
resistance comes into
So
play
they were
there,
starting
right?
to develop insulin resistance, and they were
You know a
starting
little bit about this?
I know a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, atherosclerosis, right? So endothelial dysfunction. I did a study when I was in my early cardiology training called the 7-professor study. So I took young professors in their 40s and presumably healthy, normal vital signs, normal labs, normal cholesterol, normal everything. And I did something called blood flow through Doppler ultrasound measurement of the blood flow in their arm at baseline. Then I gave them the same McDonald's meal, Big Mac, big fry, milkshake, and measured the blood flow in their arm every 15 minutes after the meal.
Wow.
And it
And they suppressed
by more than 50% the ability to dilate their blood vessels.
they suppressed those findings.
The endothelial function deteriorated acutely after a high sugar and saturated fat meal. So can you imagine a 25-year-old guy goes on a Tinder date and has 5-6 of these drinks, okay?
And she's ready. She's
he's
ready.
Ready to roll.
She is
But is he ready? He thinks he is. because he's 25. And then they go back and, we're hungry.
And they go get
Let's
some
pick up
McDonald's.
some burgers. Let's pick up some fries, maybe a pizza, maybe some.
She's trying to
whatever.
seem cool. She doesn't need to
No
go to
problem.
Albernays.
No.
Let's just go to McDonald's,
Yeah,
Mickey
'cause-
D's.
'cause she's ready. And then the guy's like, I'm so embarrassed. Hello, and slaps it around, and the girl maybe goes down and tries to perform certain other activities to help the guy, being a good, helpful.
I mean, she's a catch.
Man, she's awesome. She's cheap date.
Well,
Yeah.
she's the hookup for the night. Let's not go with the rest, right? So,
But I mean, she's happy with McDonald's and she's willing to
Yeah.
to join in and help.
Okay? So this happens, right? It happens too often. I have a few patients
You literally
once-
have people come in every week with this literal story.
between 25, 27, and 40.
The reason why people tune in.
I'm having problems.
The reason why people tune in.
This is
This
reality.
is not. This isn't like a podcast of people trying. No, this is.
Yeah.
He's
So-
trying to nip it in the bud.
Yeah.
You know why? Put on the TikTok camera. Fred has to deal with these people every day.
It's an early sign of
and he
cardiovascular
has to
disease.
have these conversations
Yeah.
literally every day. And you know what would be nice? If people would tune into the Leverage podcast and get ahead of the schedule and show up there with other problems that are more.
But these are big problems.
Well,
Or tiny problems, I should say.
it's only a big problem
If you let it go.
if you let it go.
So this progresses because you may
and
not
by
develop-
tiny, we mean their penises don't work.
They may not have heart attacks and strokes for 20, 25 years.
But their wives
the-
are not satisfied.
The problem starts already in their 20s and it goes and progresses. And there are people that are more predisposed. So this is depending on your ancestry, depending on what gene pool you come from.
We're lucky because we live in our own culture.
Right.
But if we live in another country that had different diets that weren't our culture,
Oh, yeah.
we would have erectile dysfunction.
Early.
Yeah.
So this erectile dysfunction is the first sign of cardiovascular disease. This is why I keep saying erectile dysfunction should be in the realm of cardiologists and internal medicine doctors, not so much urologists. Urologists are wonderful and do a great job.
All about
but
the
they need to
kidneys.
work together.
Right. The kidney and the
urologist.
heart, right.
It's already late.
Right.
Right. By the time the guy says, "Hey, I need a prosthesis. My prostate's the issue." That's a late event and an important one, and urologists play a great role. But the cardiovascular specialist and family doctors can play a great
Well,
role.
separating it is just ridiculous.
Yeah, but there is a tendency in our model to treat the organ instead of the person. You got to treat the person. So what's going on with you? Are you not sleeping? Are you smoking? Are you eating a poor, high saturated fat, high sugar diet? And what I mean by high sugar, I mean more than 30, 40 grams a day in my books is a high sugar diet. That is not necessarily the viewpoint of others. The average in the
Is
U.S.
it 85% of Americans eat more than that?
more than 100 grams a day.
85%? Or what's the number?
Yes, it's a huge number. Eat more than 100 grams a day.
And you're saying that you should have less than 45.
For men, the American Heart Association, American College of Cardiology, less than 36 for a man, less than 26 for a woman. So I'm saying 30 to 40, you got to be below of refined sugars and added sugars and starches because those in our gut get converted to sugar. And remember, we talk about fructose, glucose. That's another topic for another time. The key now is preserving endothelial function by sleeping well, decreasing stress, not smoking, clearly being physically active, exercising 30 minutes or more, 5 times a week or more, and knowing what your blood pressure is, your cholesterol, your full panel, your markers of diabetes, pre-diabetes called hemoglobin A1C, and your lipid panel. You got to know that going from your 30s and up and know whether you're at low or extremely low, low, intermediate, or high risk. And that will save your life and will prevent you from having heart attacks, strokes, heart failure, sudden cardiac death, renal failure, erectile dysfunction clearly, and vascular dementia. We have politicians that have vascular dementia right now because they've had multiple risk factors like this.
Hey, Chandler, get your finger on the.
I don't think that's a big secret.
Yeah. No, it's not a big secret. And it's unfortunate because I say, and maybe we can end with this on this segment and another time talk about it, that in order to run for public office, you should have a complete physical, and of which one part is the ability of your neurons to utilize and metabolize glucose. You can only tell that with a PET scan, not just with an X-ray, not just with an MRI, not just with a
we'd
CT
lose
scan.
a lot of politicians if we ran that test.
Right. You got to be above a certain percent for your age, or should not be, because it's too difficult a job. And I think we have to look at vascular dementia or markers of it with a PET scan, especially in the frontal, parietal, and temporal lobes.
Some people, when you look at all the our feedback for the podcast,
Yeah.
they think we should be the NO podcast because nitrous oxide.
Yeah.
Is
How
Big talk. Big
well,
topic here.
how well did you know nitrous oxide before
Yeah.
tonight?
Not much.
Did you know that it was literally the most important thing to your satisfying your wife?
No.
Did you know that it was literally the most important thing to how much weights you can lift and how much energy you have?
Did not.
Why is nitrous? It was literally the chemical of the 80s.
Yeah.
And how many podcasts? I know you listen
Yeah.
to podcasts because
No,
you're
I've
traveling all the
never
time.
heard- I've never heard anything about
And
it.
supplements don't work. I get it that
Right,
you got
yeah.
baseball
That's
players
the
and
only
other
thing I
people
hear
saying
about
that they're going to
is
go.
on,
Bullshit. It's what I just said.
Right.
You got to do all those things. I don't want to repeat myself. So on that account, we shall talk about dementia and erectile dysfunction.
Hey, thank you so much for being a part of our
Excellent.
podcast.
Thank you guys for having me.
You're
Yes,
welcome
enjoyed it.
whenever you want to come back again. This
That
is
was awesome.
But we need some
I
of the
think
black
our-
whiskey.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll bring the
next
whiskey
time you come-
I'll bring the whiskey next
yeah,
time.
because
For sure.
you haven't seen I'm Native American, like deep down inside. And when
Yeah.
I drink whiskey, the firewater really makes me act crazy.
All right. We'll have a good time.
He knows where the casinos are located.
All right. Let's do it.
All right, till next time, be aligned and move forward.
I refuse to do that, but I keep doing it.
Be aligned.
Be
Mental
alive.
health, physical health, spiritual health, and move forward
All right.
and move on. Don't look back. Move on.